So is this when we chat about how great you are?
Emily Scarratt is going to go all the way!
Scarratt, hit me! I'm free! I'm free!
2014 was obviously an amazing World Cup for us, and the final was just, it was amazing. Like, at the time it was setting records, I think, for the crowd. You know, I just remember arriving at the stadium and the third, fourth playoff was going on, which France were playing in, and it was just this kind of cacophony of noise. It was unbelievable, just people everywhere. And obviously we were arriving for the biggest game of our lives in that kind of space. It was just, yeah, kind of hairs on the back of your neck stuff.
It's a good touch finder from McLean, and they go to the front, to the bank of all.
The try is a funny one because it was kind of born out of a bit of carnage. We win the line out and the girls start mauling it. And we, as backs, haven't made any call. So you can kind of see on the footage, we're kind of pointing at each other, we're kind of trying to have this conversation as the maul is going on. And then all of a sudden it's at the back, Mo's got it and it's being played to us. And Katie basically, she just has one of two options to hit one of us. We're not really giving her a huge amount. It's not this, you know, all singing or dancing move off the training paddock or anything like that.
McLean is Scarratt on a much flatter ball. Emily Scarratt! Emily Scarratt is going to go all the way!
I'm able to break that first tackle, and that first tackle is the big one. You know, that's the front line. And then as soon as I'm through that, it's this bizarre kind of opening. You know, I've broken that tackle, make one step, and then just where people are running, it's almost like we're trying to avoid one another. It just kind of just seemed like that. It just seemed like everybody was almost running away from me, and I just had this path to the try line. One of those moments where you're like, is this really happening? And expect someone to kind of come out of the sidelines and snipe at you. But yeah, it was an unbelievable moment, I think, in the context of the game, the time, the score, etc. Yes, there was still time left, but I think everybody knew, and you can probably tell from the reactions that probably meant we were going to win the World Cup. The most amazing thing for me is when you watch it back, just to see all the reactions of people, you know, as you're about to cross the line, or when you cross the line, I get absolutely mobbed. Everybody's just jumping on top of me. We had a lot of fun in the changing room. The changing room is your space. So actually just having some, yeah, amazing memories in there, just sing-alongs, you know, just the daft stuff, a few beers, etc. But then when we finally came to leave the stadium after a bit of a post-match function, completely unplanned, we were driving past this pub on a corner, and our manager was just like, "Stop the bus!" And we were all like, "What is going on?" And she'd noticed that basically this pub was just filled white, so it was just basically all our friends, all our family, loads of English supporters just had completely taken over this pub. And this pub just obviously notices that it's us and we've stopped, and just starts singing "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot" to us as we get off the bus. And it's this completely bizarre, surreal moment, obviously, where we're able to actually share it with some of our nearest and dearest, but also people that have travelled so far to see us as well. And then we basically stayed in that pub for a little bit, didn't buy a single drink, as you can well imagine. I think most of us pulled an all-nighter. We had a bit of a captain's call. Katy Daley-McLean, obviously captain. People tried to slope off to bed, but she was trying not to allow that to happen. I think the World Cup trophy ended up in the swimming pool at one point. Right, let's give KDM a call and see what she's got to say. Hello!
Hi, Scuzzy! How are you?
Good, mate. How are you?
So is this when we chat about how great you are?
No, we're actually reflecting on the World Cup final 2014, Katie, and I was just explaining what a great pass you gave for that try.
I think there's a lot of chat about that should have been like my try or Keats's try or Mom's try, because there's loads of people like queuing up. I mean, when you watch the video back, none of us are within about 5 or 6 metres of you at all. Scarratt, hit me! I'm free! I'm free!
Do you remember the penalty beforehand? I remember you saying to me, you're like, "I can't believe you bottled that penalty kick. I nearly took the ball off you and kicked it myself."
Yeah, that's so true. Because I was like, we need to start building a score, because she'd kicked a penalty earlier, hadn't she? That obviously brought it within. And I was like, oh, just keep the scoreboard ticking over. Obviously, you've been kicking really well. So I was like, oh, fine. Nah, just go at the corner. Come on. I was like, what a win. What a...
Didn't fancy it. Obviously, winning the game was unreal, but what are your memories, if any, of the celebrations afterwards?
How much have you shared?
I shared about the pub, obviously, on the way home.
Yeah.
And how amazing that was. And then just a little bit about, obviously, very much a lack of sleep and the trophy ending up at the bottom of a swimming pool.
Right, actually that's not true. It didn't end up in the bottom because me and Sarah Hunter saved it from the bottom at the risk of our own lives.
Right, but it was so nice to speak to you. I will speak to you soon.
Catch you soon.
It's mad to think that's nearly 10 years ago. Some of the new girls coming into the squad, and not even new anymore, they reflect on watching that. Some of them were actually out in France watching it, or they tell stories of obviously being at home, probably with their parents as youngsters. It's sickening to think how old they were watching that, but it's amazing to also think at that point what it did for our game in England, certainly. We arrived home to just press coverage everywhere, like unprecedented, and it was an amazing stepping stone to grow the participation of our fabulous game.